sound of an envelope pierced through the silence of a beautiful home as Mother Goose's life crumpled to pieces in front of her, in big bold letters stating her bankruptcy, throwing her into a sense of deep despair. Despite all her struggles, she never believed it would come to this. She didn't bother to ever consider that she would be stuck like this. After hours of quiet deliberation, as the sun finally came up, she figured out that buying geese would solve all her problems, and hopefully, she thought to herself, they would be cheap. On her way to the farm, she considered whether this was the right decision, whether this could solve all her problems, but ultimately, she realised this was the only way she could continue. As she got close to the farm, geese began to surround her, and she was overcome by the sensation of belonging as she headed towards the main barn. But despite her attempt, the farmer sent her away, with no geese in her wake due to lack of funds, and again, she was alone. The last hope ripped away from her, her future shrivelling to pieces. The walk back through the farm felt everlasting as she trekked through the trail, humming her favourite songs of good days past, letting that warmth surround her. When suddenly she heard a noise, a scuffle, a stumble, and as she looked behind her, she was faced with the view of the farm's geese entranced by her song, tracking her every move, as well as the farmer himself, chasing her down, begging her to stay. Once he caught up to her, the farmer begged her for forgiveness and offered her 2 geese and golden eggs, with no need to pay him back, and sent her on her way. Despite the intensity of the day, Mother Goose felt light as she walked back home, feeling that she was free from the shackles of her past mistakes and that she could start again with this fresh new outlook. But as she looked at the glimmering golden eggs in her hands, she began to feel as if she were being watched, and that was when it happened. She felt a cold hand graze her skin, and a feeling of pure rage and righteousness overcame her as she turned towards the devilish figure, prepared to fight for her life and protect the eggs. The moves were quick and lethal, and she slowly began to accept her fate when she heard the faint sound of sirens. From then on, she felt strong enough to push away from the attacker, grab the eggs, and run towards the police. Once she made it to them, the situation was quickly resolved, and the devilish being was driven away. An ending was finally in sight for her once again. Later that night, a debt-free Mother Goose stood in the same place she resided only a few short days ago, but now a bankruptcy letter crumpled in her hand and a life of luxury unfolding in front of her.